and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where I am delighted to say Barca are on the verge of returning. It has been another agonisingly long international break, but we are here again and getting ready for Barca's trip to Balaídos to face Celta Vigo. And coming up today, we're going to be talking a lot about the lineup. That is the big question here, with Lamine Yamal's absence really being highlighted. We're going to be talking about two potential lineups there, two different variations that I really want to know your thoughts on. And we've also got predictions coming up today, guys. So come on, and let's get to it. Because even despite Barca's defeat against Real Sociedad before the international break, we do still stand 6 points clear at the top of the table after 13 games have been played. Now, Real Madrid, of course, in second. They do have a game in hand, though. They will be playing against Leganes this weekend on Sunday. And I do believe right here, guys, this for Barca on Saturday against Celta, it's a very important game. Because first of all, it's really important to immediately respond to the loss against Real Sociedad, to get back on track in La Liga, and basically to put any doubts to bed. You know what the media are like. One defeat from Barca, they're ready to jump on us. They have done. They've been piling those doubts on over the course of the international break, and we have to bounce back now and immediately respond. But I think what's also important here is ahead of the Champions League too, of course. That's coming very soon. We want to be going into that game against Brest, which is not an easy one, with real confidence behind us. It's very important here in this game for me that we line up strong, that we go as strong as we possibly can, and make sure we get those good feelings back. Because in terms of our opponents, Celta Vigo, right now they do stand 11th in La Liga, sort of middle of the road in the table, and you never really know what you're going to get from Celta Vigo. They can sometimes be fantastic on their day, they can also be absolutely terrible, but what we do know is that when we play against them, usually they find their absolute best level, and we have had some really tricky games, and in this stadium as well in the past here. So for a first game back after the international break, it's not an easy one, and we will have to make sure that we are ready, and we cannot afford, obviously, to take them lightly. And of course, one of the big problems that we have ahead of this game, it is no Lamine Yamal. And this is a big issue here for Hansi Flick. He is still suffering there with that ankle problem. He is coming to the end of that problem, though. You know, he's not in real danger here, but Barca simply don't want to take any risk this weekend. He should be fine for the Champions League. But of course, in the two games so far this season, where Yamal has not started for Barca, those happen to be the only two games in La Liga that we have lost, and that is absolutely no coincidence. Yamal's impact on this team, it is extraordinary. At his age, to have the kind of stature that he does, it's unbelievable. And we cannot replace him. You know, I'm thinking right now of that Pep Guardiola video. We cannot replace him. And we can't. Because there is no player, not just in our team like him, but in the world like him. So what we may try and see, what we're going to go on to talk about later, is just a few tweaks here and there in our midfield, in our attack there, just to try and ease that burden of missing him, of missing that influence from the right side. How can we get some of that threat still to be in our team without him? And there's going to be big question marks about our midfield there, because why don't we talk here about Frenkie de Jong, of course, because before the international break in that game against Real Sociedad, it wasn't a good one for the whole team, and it wasn't a good one individually, of course, for Frenkie de Jong. Now, he did go away in the international break. He played just the one game with the Netherlands there, as per their agreement with Barca, which I think was good to see. Good to see there the two teams coming to an understanding. He played 68 minutes in the game that he did play, after admitting openly in the international break that he still wasn't feeling back to his normal self. You know, Frenkie de Jong is openly saying in his own words, I am not at my best level yet, and he believes there that should come with more and more minutes in this team. Now, he started both of the last two games before the international break. Will Hansi Flick choose to start Frenkie again, or are there other options? Because one player right here that we simply have to talk about, it's Gavi. We must talk about Gavi, guys, because this is somebody right now who is waiting. He is desperately waiting for his opportunity from the start of a game. And what we're hearing right now in the media over the past few days, guys, Gavi is fully fit, he is fully firing, and he is ready to start this game, and he's been really pushing in training for that, and there have even been a few suggestions here and there that Gavi's actually getting a little bit frustrated. Now, I'm sure that it's nothing too serious there, he's not angry at anybody really, but I think within him, he just wants to get back out there again. You know, he doesn't want to keep waiting and waiting and waiting for his opportunity from the start. He feels as though he can do it now, he feels as though he's ready, and he wants to be in the starting lineup. And today, Hansi Flick said he can be. Hansi Flick for the first time said that Gavi now, after this international break, he's continued there building that base level of fitness, he can now be considered as a potential starter in this team. And my big question would be, would you do that here? Is now the time? Is this the opportunity to say, okay, Gavi, you've been coming on, you've been having cameos here, there and everywhere, waiting and waiting and waiting. Is this your moment now to step back into the starting lineup? And could he actually give us something that we have been missing? Because I did think it was very, very interesting there in his pre-match press conference from Hansi Flick when talking about the absence of Lamine Yamal. He said, okay, he's not going to be available against Celta, but he said we do have players who can move around. He did say we have players who can be very, very fluid in their positioning. He said we're going to have a really good look at what we need and then design the game plan based around that there. So Flick may be looking at what he has, looking at who can maybe fill that huge void that has been left behind by Lamine Yamal. And for me, the real emphasis would have to be on creativity. I think we have to make sure here that we line up against Celta Vigo with lots of players who can create, because against Real Sociedad it simply wasn't there. We did not have any level really of chance creation. It didn't really happen for us in that game, and that's what happens when Yamal is not there. He is such an incredible creator, he is so unselfish about his play, and you need to play here players who can give opportunities to Robert Lewandowski, who can allow Rafinha there to run into space, who can pick him out, who can maybe exploit those pockets. So we have to have here a real focus on that creativity, which is why right here, I would absolutely line up in this game with a rock-solid defensive line. We don't want to mess around with that in any way, shape or form, because what we want to do is have a very, very solid base, trying to control the game a bit more than we did at the Anoeta, and that means Iñaki Peña, Koundé, Pau Cubarsí, Inigo Martinez and Balde. And what I would also say about Koundé is he did not have his best game against Real Sociedad, and I think he was another player who really missed Yamal ahead of him there. We played, of course, with Fermin on that right side. It was a real experiment from Hansi Flick that quite honestly did not really work out. Fermin is not a natural winger, so those two weren't really able to combine at all, not offensively nor defensively on that side. So that's something there to consider. But then we got lots of options, I feel, in midfield and in our attack to try to cope with the absence of Yamal, because you could play Marc Asado alongside Pedri. Now that is a midfield duo that we know has worked exceptionally well this season. Of course, recently we started to see Frenkie included there, but we cannot forget how good Casado and Pedri have complemented each other there. They've been so good alongside each other. And then you could have Dani Olmo in that central area. You could have Rafinha switched over maybe to the right-hand side. And I'm just saying now, could Gavi play on the left in that kind of position that we saw him, don't forget, under Xavi, when he played so well in that sort of half space there, cutting inside, stepping inside from the right, helping, of course, leading that press as Rafinha has done in that position, and then making way for Balde to really storm down that left side, with Lewandowski then leading the line. And for me, that would be an exciting look to the attack inside of our team. Casado and Pedri holding things, pulling the strings in midfield, with Rafinha, Olmo and Gavi there just in behind Lewandowski. I like the way that looks. But there's another variation that you could actually play with exactly the same players, because maybe if you didn't want there to have Gavi on the left side, you could still play him deeper in midfield. You could have there a duo of Casado, of Gavi, that maximum intensity duo that we've spoken about so often here. You could have them both there in midfield. You could push Pedri on to that more advanced central area and put Dani Olmo on the left side in that similar sort of role. He'll have full license to come inside and get involved, of course, as that trio, and that could work too. I think those are two very good options. I would lean more towards the first one, in my opinion, but let me know, guys, in the the comments down below. Do you like the way that looks? Do you like the combinations that we could see from the players that are out there? Or would you find a way to include Frenkie de Jong? Do you not feel as though Gavi is ready to start as of yet? And what do you think Flick is going to do? Because when we're looking here at the predictions ahead of this game, by the way, nobody has lost confidence. And that is a great thing to see here, guys. We know we had a bad day against Real Sociedad, but we are ready to bounce back here. And you guys believing that Barca are going to win by 3 or 4 goals at Balaidos on Saturday. And I'm going to go personally with a 3-1 win. I'm going to go there with a more slender margin. I think it's going to be a tricky game. I do think that we really do struggle without Lamine Yamal, but I think we are going to get the job done, and we are going to score 3 goals in the process. But maybe Celta will get just the one back, and in terms of the first goal scorer, you guys are opting, of course, for Robert Lewandowski, and I'm going to join you on that train there. Lewandowski, he did have a bit of a back problem throughout the international break, but he's fully ready. He is fully fit to go now, and we expect him to deliver yet again in La Liga this season, guys. Please do let me know all of your predictions down below. I am fascinated to know how you would line up. How would you replace Yamal? How on earth do you do that? These are the questions that Flick has to answer ahead of a vital game for Barca on Saturday. I will see you after it for all of the reaction, and hopefully the feelings are perfect. I will catch you all then. Thank you indeed to each and every one of you for the great support. It's great to be back on the channel. But until next time, as always, Visca, El Barça.